Lock chapter 327 has just released. Side B is finally here, and with that, the return of so many different characters. Kira Ryosuke, Aomori's Messi, even new characters are here for the new Blue Lock. However, if you don't know already, this chapter is unfortunately only 10 pages long, a half chapter due to a Japanese holiday, but it's all good, they deserve the break. And even for 10 pages, this was an absolutely insane chapter. So much content and so many things got revealed, so let's jump into it quick. The chapter begins, and right away we get flashbanged with Baratsuta's face, who says, "Hello, geniuses, it's time for Side B to actually start." We're in the Blue Lock Central Hall, and Baratsuta says, "You have all been chosen by me." And look front and center, we see Shigeo Mizuki, my goat. This gotta be the best design in Blue Lock. But jokes aside, Kaneshiro has to have been watching the Shigeo Mizuki memes, because bro put him front and center on the first page. He knew we would eat this up. Some of the players here were also from the Side B reveal, but most of them are just random NPCs. This actually has to be the most basic design of all time, like he's trying to make them plain. Anyways, I'm actually kind of excited for Side B because I want to see who else decided to join and what characters we're getting back. Baratsuta continues that one striker among 300 of you, your only mission is to surpass Blue Lock, as we see Kira Ryosuke return to the manga. Oh my god. Seeing Kira Ryosuke here is genuinely mind-boggling. I still can't wrap my head around it. After 7 years, bro is back in the manga. He's been gone longer than the Chica dance guy. He actually got the milk and came back. Pete Bro's in the back too. Hiragi Reiji is here too. Another character from Blue Lock who got eliminated in the Neo Egoist League. Hiragi was very important in episode Nagi, so it's cool to see him here. Himizu is also here, another character from episode Nagi. I have a feeling Kaneshiro is purposefully adding these characters from episode Nagi because, you know, Side B is all about Nagi. Baratsuta continues that he wants to create the #1 striker, explaining that they'll hold a selection among 301 of them, with the last 2 surviving in the end, obtaining the last spots for the ongoing U20 World Cup as Japan's representatives. This is stuff we already knew as readers, but can we also talk about the amount of BS Baratsuta is on? How is he, a man who only cares about getting the bag and canonically says Japan is trash, gonna create the #1 Japanese striker? Anyways, he tells the players that he'll provide his full support for the last 2 standing, from TV commercials to backing up your transfer negotiations. He promises to prepare every possible path to stardom, aka he's gonna take all your money and leave you with sticks and stones. This guy's not slick. Baratsuta says, "Now then, geniuses, step forth if you want to achieve everything in football, as the gates open and Blue Lock Special Edition Side B commences." Not gonna lie, this is a lot more hype than I thought. We're getting a feeling of deja vu with the first chapter, but more importantly, we see more of the Blue Lock Side B contestants revealed, including previous Blue Lock players. In the top right corner, we see Hajime Nishioka, or Aomori's Messi. The bottom right got the first Wanima brother. Right next to him is Okawa, part of Team Y with Nico in the first selection, and Namioka Ryo, or the guy who Nagi eliminated in episode Nagi. And I really gotta ask, what the hell was the criteria for getting selected for Side B? Because Okawa, the fraud that got outscored by Nico, who's currently on defense duty, got picked for Side B. And don't even get me started on the other Wanima bro. His only weapon was his facial recognition link up with his brother, and yet his brother is nowhere to be found. So what the hell is he going to do besides lollygag and do some cardio? He has no weapon. Anyways, Hajime Nishioka is here, and that's kind of cool. I know the Aomori's Messi agenda is back, and I can already smell the comments coming from a mile away. When they included this guy from episode Nagi, Ryo, this tells me all I need to know, bro. Baratsuta put on a blindfold and started picking names from a hat. I guess time will tell since everyone hasn't been revealed, but we see all of them start running towards the gate, including Igaguri from Timu. Kira stands there, and we get his first dialogue in 7 years, commenting that it's just a ripoff of Ego, and it's a flimsy way to call it a slave contract. Okay, Kira's first dialogue in 7 years, and he low-key speaking facts about the Baratsuta contract, because that was on par with the Mr. Krabs contract in that one SpongeBob episode, charging bro for breathing. All of a sudden, though, a hooded figure starts talking and says it seems the former dropouts of Blue Lock are participating too. He gets it. Just like you and I, Kira is confused at the hash-slinging slasher talking, so he assumes that he was a dropout of Blue Lock too. but he starts taking off his hood and responds that he didn't know anything about BLUELOCK. And he reveals that he's part of the new crew Baratsuta invited for this selection, Holland League AAA 2nd Division Shindo Hanaru. I'ma be honest, I mess with his design, I think it's pretty cool, but be for real, dog. Why'd bro try to act all mysterious and nonchalant? He revealed himself like he was gonna have a Disney applaud track. I'm hella dead. He then gives Kira a wink and says, "Nice to meet you, the hope of Japan, Kira Ryosuke." And seriously, are we still giving bro this title when you can give it to any of the top 10 BLUELOCKers instead? Kira says likewise and asks if he's number 1 too, which relates to the game they're about to play, since Shindo shows he's also number 1 and they need to head to the first room. There are also 25 other rooms, but keep that in mind for later because it's important. Shindo and Kira both start running towards the room, and he says he's surprised the Kira Ryosuke didn't manage to survive BLUELOCK, and it's impressive that he wanted to challenge it again. Bruh. Alright, man. First 2 seconds of screen time, and 80% of it was dedicated to glazing Kira. I don't know if that makes Kira actually that good, or if this guy is just his number 1 fanboy. I'm already getting flashbacks to a certain someone. He assumes that Kira must really like BLUELOCK, and he responds that it's the opposite. What they're doing here is close to an inhumane brainwashing, and he accepted Baratsuta's offer to come here and deny their ways. Which is the exact same reason why he joined the original BLUELOCK. You would expect after all this time, Kira would be a changed man or just forget about it, but nah, he's still the exact same as before. Come on, let it go, bro. I guess it's kinda cool to see an anti-BLUELOCK character. I feel like at this point in the story, though, it's kind of unnecessary, but more on that later when we discuss the chapter. Shindo comments that he's anti-BLUELOCK and that he gets it. Kira says exactly, he came back here staking his life to crush a BLUELOCK and Isagi Yoichi. Ain't no way, dog. First of all, staking his life? Like, bro is that dedicated to making fun of BLUELOCK when he could have just went the family route instead. Again, gotta give it up, bro. And 2, Isagi got another target on his back, and this time, he don't know a single thing about it. Kira Ryosuke actually the biggest hater of all time. 7-year beef. It gets even funnier when you realize he didn't even care that Bachiro was the one who was actively boxing him up and gave the assist to Isagi. He saw that salary and number 1 and dedicated his entire being to crushing solely him, which honestly, I'm getting another feeling of deja vu from another character. We see them run towards the first room of side B, where Shindo says okay, he gets Kira's objective, and as the door opens, Nagi Seishirou is finally here back in the manga. Oh nah, this gotta be the worst possible scenario for these two, because imagine seeing the previous number 2 of BLUELOCK just sitting and waiting in your room like a goddamn video game boss. Check the drip on Nagi 2. They got whited out uniforms for bro, and instead of the rankings, they just have a B for side B. I gotta be honest, Baratsuta, you're the scum of the earth, but at least you got them dripped out. And this still feels like a fever dream of a chapter. Nagi Seishirou is meeting Kira Ryosuke in 2025 of BLUELOCK. If you told any reader during the NEL that this was going to happen, they would look at you like you got the plague. Nagi, on his nonchalant timing, just says sup as the fallen genius joins in. But y'all, take a good look at the room. It's the same one as the game of tag. And doing some basic math, we can find out this game has 25 rooms, 300 players plus 1 with Nagi, so 12 players in each room, just like the game of tag. In Nagi's room, there are 13 lockers, which means Nagi's gonna take on 12 guys at once. I don't know if I should have worded it like that, but it's sounding like the game of tag with just 2 eliminations instead of 1. Anyways, that wraps up the chapter. I know it was only 10 pages long, but there is legit so much to talk about. It's actually crazy. In fact, I think there's more to talk about now than during the Nigeria game. I know everyone wants to know about next chapter predictions, so let's get into it right away. What do I think this next game is going to be? Instantly, my mind goes to the game of tag because, you know, every evidence is pointing towards it, but I do think something that would be even more fun and something that could replace it would be a game of reverse tag, where the person who keeps onto the ball for the longest wins and everyone else is eliminated. And we know Nagi has the ball control to literally roll the ball around his body and keep it, so this would be a walk in the park for him. Either that or it literally turns into dodgeball, where if you directly hit someone, they get eliminated. The only reason why I'm giving out all these crazy games, though, is because we don't have time for a whole BLUELOCK selection. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start start eliminating everyone very quickly and whittling down who's going to make it. I do think they'll probably parallel the game of tag though, and that's why they reintroduced Kira Ryosuke, who was also in the first game of tag. Kira is obviously the talk of the town when it comes to this chapter. 7 years of making a return. I know I sound like a broken record mentioning it, but it's still mind-boggling to me. For next chapter and just side B in general, there are 2 main ways they can approach Kira's character. The first one being keep his character in the manga. He's an anti-blue lock person, which is a whole different trope than the other characters. I know a lot of people do want to see that trope or find it exciting, and also just have Kira redeem himself. What I mean by redeem himself is that we know Kira got eliminated in this game of tag by not going for a shot last second against Igaguri. It could very well be a mirror of that scenario, but this time Kira kicks it last second surviving. It would show that Kira is learning from his mistakes, but also developing his ego too. The blue lock mentality is kind of affecting him where he is now fighting till the end, unlike the first chapter of Blue Lock. But still, if Kira Ryosuke survives, he'll most likely be this whole anti-blue lock persona, or maybe I can even see him teaming up with Nagi. Like one scenario, Kira ends up eliminating Shindo because they got close in this chapter, just like how him and Isagi got close and then Isagi eliminated him, paralleling his elimination. Just a lot of parallels that I think they can call back to. I also think it would be a very interesting dynamic with Kira and Nagi basically surviving and crushing Blue Lock, or trying their best to. The only thing with Kira is that he isn't striving to become the #1 striker or the best player. He only wants to crush Blue Lock. Which brings us to our second scenario. Kira Ryosuke gets eliminated yet again in the game of tag and not surviving side B. Now this can be in multiple ways. Maybe in each room only one player survives, just like how I said with the reverse game of tag or dodgeball. Basically just making it so that 25 players, one from each room, move on to the next selection. I feel like that alone is a lot more realistic because they need to finish side B before the group stage, so whittling down all the players would be a lot better moving on to the second game. Even if they don't decide to eliminate everyone, if they eliminate 1 or 2 players from the room, Kira could likely be that person again, and probably from the hands of Nagi. And that's just my prediction, because like I said earlier, Kira's whole objective is only crushing Blue Lock, like the same mentality at the start of the series. It shows that he hasn't grown, even if he's a good individual player and we haven't seen his skills. Blue Lock throughout the manga has shown that Ego's philosophy of striving to become the best, developing your ego, has worked. I mean, it's the whole point of the manga. And even more recently, the writing has shown us that not having an ego or not striving to become the #1 is the downfall of players. Nagi Seishirou's original elimination was because he didn't have the ego to become the best, only to beat Isagi. And I mean, just look at Nigeria. They just got blown out 4-0 because none of them had the ego to be the best. They just cared about being together, and then once Onazi awakened his ego, he instantly started to perform better. During the Nigeria game too, they were spelling it out for us by giving us the hunting philosophy. The Blue Lockers need to go and hunt their dreams of becoming the world's best. And even inside B itself, Nagi joined back because that's his ego. He wants to become the world's best, not just crushing Isagi like during the NEL. So in Kira's case, where he only cares about crushing Blue Lock and Isagi just like Nagi, it might not work out well for him. I do think that's what's going to happen unless Kaneshiro decides to, avoid all of that writing that he showed us before. I will say what tracks this theory though is him maybe being the trope of the anti-Blue Lock character. We've seen some characters without ego. For example, Lorenzo is widely known as the best character without a stated ego. He's still thriving and doing good in Ubers, and he's a new Gen 11, so I mean, that proves his skill enough. And I mean, Kira is like the only character that makes sense to qualify, because Wanima 1 ain't gonna be the last spot on the side B Baratsusa 3. Only time can tell though. I will say, no matter if you think he's getting eliminated again, if you think he's a fraud, or if you think he'll come back and be this anti-Blue Lock character, this was a very interesting chapter. Like, the amount of content we get is super entertaining. Just a heads up, the next chapter is another 10 pages long, probably picking up with Nagi and Kira interacting, which is gonna be cool to see. I think the next chapter will be a big one though. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching as always. YouTube really thinks you like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one.